Hello, family. Before we begin this story, tell me, where are you watching from tonight? Drop your country in the comments below. I love seeing how far this family reaches. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because these stories take time and heart to create. Now, let's begin. Tonight's story is about a woman who thought she knew everything about her husband, until a stranger arrived at her door holding their wedding photo. A photo she thought she had lost years ago. But the stranger said something that froze her blood. Your husband never left that night. You were lied to. What happened? Where had this photo been all these years? And what really happened to her husband the night he disappeared? Let's start. Chapter 1. The Man on My Doorstep. It had been 9 years since Daniel vanished. 9 years since the police knocked on my door and said, "Ma'am, we're doing everything we can." 9 years since the search dogs gave up, the posters faded, and the world moved on. People started treating me like a widow long before I accepted it myself. But on the night everything changed, I was simply washing dishes. A quiet, cold evening, the kind where the house feels too big, and every sound echoes. At 9:46 p.m., someone knocked. Not a light tap, not the cautious kind, but firm, like someone who already knew I was inside. When I opened the door, a man stood there, tall about late 60s, wearing an old brown coat dusted with road dirt. His eyes were tired, but sharp, too sharp. He didn't say hello. He didn't ask if he had the right house. He simply held out a small, weathered envelope. "Are you Emily Hayes?" he asked, in a voice that trembled slightly. "Yes," I whispered cautiously. "Can I help you?" His hand shook as he placed the envelope in mine. "I believe this belongs to you." His breath fogged in the cold air. "And you deserve to know the truth." Inside the envelope was something I hadn't seen in nearly a decade. Our wedding photo. The original. Not a copy, not a scan. The exact one Daniel always kept in his coat pocket on trips. My knees nearly gave out. Where did you get this?" I stammered. "This was with my husband the night he—" "I know," the man interrupted quietly. He looked past me, into the house, as if checking whether anyone else was listening. Then he said the words that made my heart punch into my throat. "Your husband never left that night. And the people who told you he did, they lied." The porch light flickered. The man's eyes filled with something heavy, regret, sadness, maybe fear. "Emily," he continued softly, "I've waited a long time to return this. And I'm sorry, I'm only doing it now. But they're watching again. And you need to hear what really happened." My hand tightened on the photo. "Who's watching?" I whispered. The man swallowed hard, stepped back into the dark, and said, "Everyone who was there that night, except your husband." Then he turned away, fast, like he needed to disappear before someone saw him. "Wait," I called out. "Come back. What do you mean? Who lied to me?" He didn't answer. He just hurried down the sidewalk, becoming a shadow under the broken street lamp. I closed the door, with trembling fingers, clutching the wedding photo to my chest. The house seemed heavier, quieter, like it recognized the picture and had been waiting for it. And on the back of the photo, written in Daniel's handwriting, something I didn't remember ever seeing, were the words, "I didn't want to leave you. Please forgive me." My breath stopped, because the date beneath those words was one day after the night he supposedly disappeared. Chapter 2. The note he was never supposed to leave. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with nothing but the sound of the refrigerator humming and the wedding photo lying in front of me. I must have stared at it for hours. It felt unreal, like my brain refused to accept what my eyes were seeing. Daniel's handwriting, Daniel's voice in those words. "I didn't want to leave you. Please forgive me." But the date was what made ice crawl through my chest. because according to police reports I had memorized after years of rereading them, Daniel left home the night of March 14th. He was declared missing the next afternoon, but the message on the back of the photo was written on March 15th, a full day later, meaning he was alive. He wasn't missing yet, or he was missing but not gone, and someone knew, someone who never told me, someone who lied. My mind raced through every memory of that time. The officer who wouldn't meet my eyes, Daniel's co-worker who seemed too nervous, his brother who told me to let it go far too quickly, the strange phone call I received at 3 a.m. the night after he disappeared, and when I answered, the line was silent. Questions I buried for almost a decade clawed their way back to the surface. Finally, at 5:12 a.m., I grabbed my coat and the photo and drove to the police station. I didn't care if they thought I was insane. I didn't care if they rolled their eyes. I needed answers. But when I got there, something strange happened. The officer who didn't remember, the officer who originally handled Daniel's case, Sergeant Collins, had retired 2 years ago. But the younger officer at the desk called him, for me anyway. Within 15 minutes, Collins walked into the station wearing a worn jacket and a startled expression, like he had rushed there without thinking. "Emily," he said, "what's going on?" I didn't waste time. I slid the wedding photo across the table. He picked it up and froze. Not the confused freeze of someone surprised, the guilty kind, like someone who just found something they thought was destroyed forever. He cleared his throat. "Where did you get this?" "A man returned it last night." I said sharply. "He said my husband never left that night. He said someone lied to me." Colin's jaw tightened. "That man," he said slowly, "did he tell you his name?" "No." "Did he say where he found the photo?" "No." "Did he ask you anything? Did he seem aggressive?" I slammed my hand on the table. "Sergeant, my husband may have been alive after the night you told me he disappeared. Did you know about this note? Did you know this photo existed?" He looked down at the message on the back, just for a second, and something flickered across his face. Fear, recognition, memory, all in one. "I don't know what to tell you," he muttered. "We never found anything like this. And if you're being approached by strangers now, you might be in some danger." "Danger from who?" I demanded. He didn't answer. He just pushed the photo back toward me and stood up fast, like he needed to leave the room immediately. But before he reached the door, I caught something, a single moment where he hesitated, his hand hovering near his pocket, like he was about to say something. Then he looked at the security camera in the corner of the station and stopped himself. He turned back to me, face stiff. "Emily, do yourself a favor. Forget the photo. Forget the man. And don't reopen old wounds. Some things are better left alone." And then he walked out, leaving me sitting there stunned, because his fear wasn't the fear of a man worried for me. It was the fear of a man worried for himself. The photo's secret. I drove home shaking, partly from anger, partly from the freezing morning air. Inside the house, I laid the photo on the kitchen counter again. But this time, something strange caught my eye. The back of the photo had a tiny mark, almost invisible unless the light hit it perfectly. A faint, circular watermark. I grabbed my phone flashlight and tilted the picture. The mark became clearer. A logo. A place I knew. A place Daniel had visited once, but only once, right before we got married. It was the emblem of Harrington Lodge, an old private retreat deep in the woods outside town. Daniel had gone there for a work meeting 2 weeks before the wedding. He came back quiet, distant, like something was weighing on him. I remembered asking, "What happened there?" And he answered, "Nothing, just work." But the look he gave me, It wasn't nothing. And now my wedding photo, the one he carried everywhere, had a Harrington Lodge watermark on it, meaning the photo had been there, meaning my husband had been there, meaning whatever happened that night didn't happen where they said it did. And the man who brought the photo back, he knew it. He knew everything. The voice message that shouldn't exist. That evening, something impossible happened. At 7:42 p.m., my phone buzzed. A voicemail from an unknown number. When I pressed play, the message was short. Crackling static. A long breath. And then a man's whisper. "Emily, don't trust them. I never left you." My hands shook violently because the voice, it sounded exactly like Daniel. Chapter 3, The Man Who Should Have Been Gone. I didn't move for almost a full minute after hearing the voicemail. I just sat there on the floor, back against the kitchen cabinets, phone trembling in my hands. I replayed the message again. Static, a strained breath. And then, "Emily, don't trust them. I never left you." My husband's voice, or at least a perfect imitation of it. For a moment, the world felt unreal, like I'd stepped outside my own life. Everything I thought I understood, everything I had accepted for almost a decade, it all cracked open, but the rational part of me, the one that had spent 9 years living with grief, kept whispering possibilities. A recording, a trick, a scam, a coincidence. And yet, a tiny part of me, the part that still dreamt of Daniel showing up at my door, whispered something else. What if it's really him? My breath hitched. I hit replay. Static again. Then the whisper. And then I heard something I somehow missed the first time. Footsteps. Soft, uneven. Crunching on gravel or dirt. Not the clean sound of someone calling from indoors. Whoever left that message was outside. Walking. Hurrying. Running. But running from what? My chest tightened. The house that remembered more than I did. I stood up, grabbed my sweater, and walked into the hallway, the one lined with photos from our wedding, our road trips, our silly date nights. For the first time, they felt like clues, almost like Daniel left pieces of himself everywhere, hoping I'd one day look at them differently. At the end of the hall, one photo caught my eye. Our honeymoon picture in the forest cabin. I had seen it 1,000 times, but never with suspicion. But tonight, something felt off. Daniel was smiling, but tightly, his arm around me, but stiff, his eyes looking at the camera, but not happy, almost like someone else was standing behind it. Someone he didn't trust, someone who made him smile. Anyway, my stomach twisted. Suddenly, I wasn't sure what memories were real anymore. I called the number back. I went back to the kitchen, opened my recent calls, and pressed return call. My heart hammered. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3, then an automated voice. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." No longer in service. But the message came minutes ago. Not days. Not hours. Minutes. Which meant one thing. Someone disconnected or destroyed the phone immediately after calling me. I whispered into the empty room. "Daniel, what did you get yourself into?" The man watching from the street. Around midnight, I finally forced myself to lie down. Not to sleep, that was impossible, but to at least rest my body. A little after 1 a.m., I heard something outside. A car door. Quiet. Slow. Like someone was deliberately trying not to draw attention. I got up, walked to the living room window, and parted the curtains just an inch. A dark sedan was parked directly across from my house. Inside, only the faint silhouette of a man sat behind the wheel. Not moving, not getting out, just watching my house, watching me. A chill ran through my spine. That can't be the same stranger. I whispered. He wouldn't sit out there like that. But as I watched, He leaned slightly forward, and the dim light from a street lamp caught the edge of his face. My breath caught. It wasn't the man who returned my wedding photo. It was someone else. Someone older. Someone sharper. Someone with a look I recognized instantly. Authority. Control. Power. The kind of person who doesn't knock on doors. He summons people. I dropped the curtain. My heart squeezed itself tight. Whoever that man was, he wasn't here to help me. He was here to keep me from learning the truth. The box I was never meant to open. At dawn, the sedan was gone. But something had changed in me. Fear turned into determination. I moved to the bedroom closet, the one I had carefully kept untouched all these years, and looked at Daniel's box on the top shelf. His old wallet, a few letters, receipts, his watch. I always kept it closed, because opening it meant accepting he was never coming back. But today, I needed answers. I lowered the box onto the bed, sat down, and slowly lifted the lid. Inside were familiar things, his handwriting, his cologne still faintly on one of his shirts. But underneath all that taped to the bottom of the box was something I had never noticed before. A small, sealed envelope, my name written on the front. My breath stalled. Emily, open only if something happens to me. My vision blurred. I broke the seal with shaking fingers. Inside was a single sheet of paper and 3 sentences that shattered everything I thought I knew about my husband. I'm sorry for the secrets. If they come asking, don't tell them anything. And whatever you do, never trust Harrington Lodge. My hands went cold. He knew. He knew something would happen to him. He knew who would come. He knew what they wanted. And the final line, written in darker ink, as if he pressed harder in fear, made my entire body go numb. If you're reading this, it means they finally found me. I whispered the only thing my voice could manage. Oh God, Daniel, what did they do to you? Chapter 4. The Man on the Porch. The footsteps on my porch were slow, too slow, like the person outside wanted me to hear every single step. My heart hammered, so loudly I could feel it echoing in my ears. Mark, I whispered into the dark hallway. The silhouette behind the frosted glass door froze. Then it leaned slightly, listening. I knew that posture. I had seen it 1,000 times in my husband. But tonight, something felt wrong. Very wrong. The doorknob turned gently, not forcing its way in, almost carefully, as if the person was trying not to scare me. But I was already terrified. The door creaked open, and there he stood, Mark, except something in his eyes was off. Not angry, not sad, just empty. A deep, bottomless emptiness that didn't belong to the man I married. Why didn't you answer my calls? He asked softly. His voice was calm, too calm. My throat went dry. I didn't get any calls. He tilted his head like someone trying to understand a puzzle. That's strange, he murmured, because I've been trying to reach you since afternoon. Afternoon? I was at the county records office then. Was he the one calling me from the hidden number? But the voice. No, the voice on the phone was older, rougher, almost desperate. Not him, not this version of him. The lie he couldn't hide. He stepped inside, brushing snow off his jacket. Where did you go today? He asked. My stomach twisted. He had never asked me that before. Mark trusted me in everything, never questioned, never pressed, never raised his voice. But now, his tone carried something else. A sharpness I had never heard. I swallowed. Just errands. He smiled. A small, slow smile. But it didn't reach his eyes. Well, he said softly, next time, just tell me. I was worried. His words sounded sweet, but the way he said them made my skin crawl. Then he walked past me, straight into the living room, straight toward the coffee table where the wedding photo used to be. Except I had hidden it earlier, in a drawer. Mark stood there for a long time, staring at the empty space where the photo had been. And without looking at me, he whispered, "Where is it?" My breath caught. "What?" His voice sharpened. "The picture. The one we took the night of our wedding." He turned slowly, eyes darker now. "Where did you put it?" I forced a calm tone. "I was cleaning. I moved it." A lie. A dangerous lie. But he didn't question it. He just nodded and walked away, humming an unfamiliar tune under his breath. A tune I had never heard him hum in all our years together. The scratched door. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the house, every sigh of the wind outside sounded wrong. Around 2 a.m., I heard a faint scratching noise, like nails dragging across wood. I followed the sound to the back hallway. The white paint on the basement door had long vertical claw-like marks across it. Fresh ones. Not old. Not accidental. As if someone or something had been trying to come up or trying to be kept down. My whole body shivered. In our 7 years together, Mark never went into that basement. He said it smelled musty, that there was nothing down there but old boxes. So why were there fresh scratches now? I reached out, hand trembling, and touched the wood, still warm, like the scratching had happened minutes before I arrived. Then I heard it, a whisper, faint, muffled, coming from below. A woman's voice. "Please help me." I stumbled back, nearly falling. "No, not real. I'm imagining it," I whispered. But the voice came again, trembling, terrified. "Don't trust him." My blood turned to ice. Not trust who? My husband? Or the man pretending to be him? The text message. Just then, my phone buzzed so violently it nearly slipped from my hand. A message from a hidden number. "You're in danger. He's not who you think he is. Leave the house." Now, my eyes widened. Another message followed immediately. "I'm on my way to explain the truth about that night. The night he supposedly never came home. The night that photo was taken. The night of the hidden accident no one ever told me about." I looked up the stairs, toward the bedroom, where Mark was, or whatever was pretending to be Mark. The floorboards creaked. He was awake. He was coming. And I realized, if I didn't leave now, I might never leave at all. Chapter 5. The truth he tried to bury. I didn't grab a coat. I didn't grab shoes. I didn't grab anything except my phone and the pounding fear in my chest. I slipped out through the kitchen door and ran into the freezing night. The snow swallowed every sound except the frantic crunch of my footsteps. Behind me, the house stayed silent. Too silent. Either he hadn't noticed I was gone yet, or he was letting me run. And somehow, I wasn't sure which was worse. The car in the trees. My breath fogged the air as I reached the edge of the road. That's when I saw it. A pair of headlights glowing through the trees. A car pulled halfway off the shoulder, engine still running. I froze. Was it the stranger who'd been texting me, or someone else? The driver's door opened slowly. A man stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dark winter jacket. Snow clung to his hair and eyelashes. He lifted a hand in a calm gesture. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'm here to help." My whole body tensed. How do I know that? He reached into his pocket. Not fast, not threatening, just deliberate. And he held up our wedding photo, but not the one I kept in the living room. This version was damaged, wrinkled, torn at the edges, water-stained, but real, tangible, old. "This," he said, voice shaking, "is the one I found." I stared at it, confused. "I don't understand. Why do you have that? Who are you?" He swallowed hard. "My name is Daniel. I was the first responder the night of your wedding travel accident. My heart stopped. What accident? His eyes softened with pain. The one that killed your husband. I staggered back. No, 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 my husband is alive. He came home that night. He came home every night since. Daniel shook his head slowly, gently, like he was trying not to shatter me. The man living in your house. He took a breath. That is not your husband. And he never came home that night. The world cracked in half under my feet. The accident they hid from me. Snowflakes drifted down between us as Daniel continued. There was a storm that night. A truck slid into your husband's car. We found him pinned inside. His voice faltered. My lungs burned. No, I saw him. I held him. I kissed him. He talked to me. Daniel stepped closer, not threatening, but steady, like he knew I was falling apart. You saw someone? He whispered. But it wasn't him. I shook my head violently. My throat closed. Why would anyone lie about something like this? Why? Why wouldn't they just tell me? Daniel sighed. You were unconscious when we found you. Severe concussion. You were in and out for 2 days. He looked down. When you woke up, you kept asking for him. And someone pretended to be him. My skin crawled. What do you mean, someone? Daniel looked me directly in the eyes. There was another man at the scene. His words dropped like ice. He was covered in blood, not injured, but frantic. He kept insisting he was your husband, that he needed to take you home. Daniel clenched his jaw. He wasn't your husband. We knew that immediately, but he refused to leave your side. My whole body trembled. Who was he? Daniel exhaled long and slow. We never found out. No ID. No record. He disappeared from the hospital before we could question him. He paused, voice dropping to a grave whisper. And now he's back. The man who took my life. My mind raced back over the last year. The way he always knew when I was coming home. The way he watched me sleep. The way he never let me enter the basement. The way he flinched when I brought up our wedding day, changing the subject every time. He had inserted himself into my life, into my memories, into my home, pretending to be my husband, living as him, loving me as him. My stomach twisted. How long? I choked. How long has he been pretending? Daniel's voice cracked. Since the night of the accident. 1 year. 1 whole year. A stranger had been sleeping in my bed, eating at my table, kissing my forehead, holding my hand, whispering, I love you in my ear, and I never knew, because the real man I loved never made it home. The thing he followed. Daniel took a step closer. I've been tracking him for months. He's not normal. His eyes darkened. He moves like he's practiced being someone else his whole life. He knows your routines, your habits, your memories. He studies your reactions. Daniel lowered his voice. He followed you the night you came to the records office. He was watching you. My breath froze inside me. He's obsessed with you, Daniel whispered. And I think he thinks you belong to him. I felt sick. He scratched the basement door. I whispered, There's someone down there. A woman. I heard her. Daniel's face went pale. He grabbed my arm firmly, protective, not rough. Get in the car. Now. Why? He looked back toward my house. Snow was falling harder now, but through it, a figure stood on my porch, watching us, motionless. Daniel's voice hollowed. Because whoever is in your basement isn't alive. Chapter 6. The basement door. Daniel shoved the passenger door open and guided me inside, locking it behind me. My hands shook so violently I could barely fasten the seatbelt. The heater blasted warm air, but my bones still felt frozen. He jogged around to the driver's side, eyes flicking from me to the porch. Stay down, he whispered. I ducked as low as I could. heart pounding in my throat. Through the windshield, I watched the figure on the porch tilt his head, slowly, like he was studying us, not panicking, not running, not angry, just watching, like he always did. You said there's a woman in the basement, Daniel murmured. What did you hear? My voice cracked as I whispered, tapping, soft, like someone trying to get attention, and a humming sound, like gas. Daniel's jaw tightened. I should have gotten here sooner, he muttered. He grabbed something from the back seat, a flashlight, thick gloves, and a pry bar. What are you doing? I whispered fiercely. We need to call for backup. We need. He cuts the power when he's threatened, Daniel said. He sabotages phone lines. We don't have time. He opened his door. No. I grabbed his sleeve. You don't know what he's capable of. Daniel turned to me with calm, steady eyes. I do, he said quietly. And tonight we finish this. The house went dark. The moment Daniel stepped out, the porch light flickered once, twice, then died completely. The entire house fell into darkness. My breath hitched. He knows we're coming. Daniel didn't respond. He moved with purpose, crossing the snow toward the porch. The figure was gone, now vanished into the shadows, like he had melted into them. Then something slammed inside the house. A heavy thud, followed by another. Daniel rushed in. I couldn't stay in the car. I couldn't sit and wait while he faced that thing alone. I threw the door open and ran after him. The air inside the house was cold. Wrong. Like a place left empty for decades, not 1 year. Daniel! I whispered. I found him at the basement door. It was cracked open. Warm air drifted out, thick, humid, almost suffocating. Something was definitely running down there. Machinery, gas, heat. I couldn't tell. Daniel raised the flashlight and shined it down the stairwell. Stay behind me, he ordered. We descended one slow step at a time. And halfway down, we saw her, the woman in the basement. She sat on a small stool facing the wall, hands in her lap, head tilted to the side. Clothes perfectly clean, hair brushed, feet bare against the concrete floor, like someone had posed her. Ma'am. Daniel called softly. She didn't move. I couldn't breathe. We reached the bottom step. Daniel circled around her slowly, flashlight trembling in his grip. When he came around the front, he froze. I knew, even before he spoke. She's gone, he whispered. Her face was pale, frozen in a calm expression, as if she had simply fallen asleep. A thin plastic tube near her mouth led to a small propane heater in the corner, burning far too hot. Daniel's voice broke. He used gas to make her sleep. Gentle at first, then enough that she couldn't wake up. My stomach twisted violently. Who is she? I whispered, and that was when Daniel found it, a ring on her finger, a wedding ring. He lifted her hand. My breath caught. Engraved inside was a name. My husband's real name. The man I thought I married. Daniel's voice was barely audible. This was his real wife, the man who stole her face. Then, a voice drifted from behind us. Soft, calm, too calm. I was going to tell you. Daniel spun, flashlight whipping through the darkness. He stood at the bottom of the stairs. The fake husband, the impersonator. His face was blank, not angry, not distressed, just empty. You weren't supposed to come down here, he said to me, voice gentle. You shouldn't see things that hurt you. I kept you safe. I kept you warm. I kept you loved. Daniel stepped between us. You killed her. The man blinked slowly. She was lonely. I kept her company. Then she went quiet. That's all. My skin crawled. His voice softened even more. And when you came into the hospital crying, confused, calling his name, you looked at me like I was him, like I mattered. He smiled faintly, eyes emotionless. I liked that. Daniel moved first. He lunged. The fake husband bolted up the stairs, impossibly fast, almost silent. Daniel raced after him. I followed, heart hammering. When we burst into the living room, he was gone. The front door stood wide open. Footprints trailed into the snowy darkness, leading toward the woods, and disappearing, like he'd never existed at all. Aftermath, the shattered truth. The days that followed blurred together. Police, investigators, statements, photos, questions no one could answer. The woman in the basement was confirmed as my husband's real wife, missing for almost 2 years, hidden just beneath my feet while I lived with the man who took everything from both of us. My real husband's remains were finally identified from the accident site. He never came home. He never made it to me. But the man who replaced him, he vanished into the forests. No footprints found. No sightings. No name to search for. Just silence. Cold, heavy silence. And family, if you're still here with me, thank you. Stories like this remind us how fragile the truth can be, how easily it can be twisted, and how important it is to trust your instincts when something feels wrong. Before you go, tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing our family gathered from every corner of the world. Your comments always warm my heart. And if you felt this story tonight, if you held your breath, if you felt that ache in your chest, please like, share, and subscribe to keep this channel alive. Your support helps these stories reach someone who might need them. And remember, my dears, not every disappearance begins with someone leaving. Sometimes it begins with someone arriving. I'll see you in the next story. Stay safe, stay aware, and take care of your heart.